Center and at the Dragon City Mall on the January 21st and 22nd. Today we have lots of VIP and guests joining our press conference today. My name is Calvin, I'm your MC today. And let me introduce our guests on the stage first. First of all is Chair of Cbia Tony Dewey.
2023年1月11日，多伦多中区华埠商业促进区 Cbia 在翠豪庭酒楼举行庆祝兔年新闻发布会，多伦多市长庄德利等嘉宾及媒体70余人出席。据了解，多伦多中区华埠商业促进区 Cbia 将于2023年1月21日至22日，分别在文华中心及龙城商场举办迎接兔年来临农历新年庆祝活动。多伦多华埠商业促进区主席雷普信表示，1月21日至22日早上11时开始至下午5时，2天的活动节目有舞狮民族舞、中越书法年菜示范，还有唱歌、旗袍表演，以及兔年生肖运程介绍等精彩文化表演，也有财神大派历史和互动游戏及幸运大抽奖。另外还有展示中国民间传统习俗、艺术摊位，包括贺年挥春、剪纸艺术中国节、兔年丙烯画等。
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. I can assure you this is the best ever press conference in Chinatown area. Not only this is the best conference, but also it's going to be the best celebration. It's organized by CCN, ETA, our organizer. And because there are so many people here today, I'm just going to say wishing everybody a happy Chinese Rabbit of the Year. And in doing so, I think we are looking forward to a best ever after the pandemic, because we have 3 years of absence from this sort of celebration. And before I carry on any longer, I wish everybody again the best Chinese celebration of Chinatown for the longest time. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
各位来宾，大家好，我是 BIA 活动委员会的副主席 Cbia 金香燕。首先，感谢政府对社区进一步的开放后的第一个农历新年实体的表演活动的支持与帮助。再过1周，就是我们中国农历年春节。今年的农历年是兔年，我们将会与兔子结为好友。兔子的善良、机灵、祥和，将会给我们每一个人带来好运与吉祥。今年的兔子年又是双春闰2月，在2023年，兔子将会带给我们2个春天。1年之计在于春，相信在2023年，兔子将会带给我们更多的机会和幸运。更重要的是，兔子是太白金星的徒弟，它是导药神，它将会带走我们3年来所承受的疫情的灾难，让我们大家都身体健康、平平安安、安居乐业。最后祝2023年大家兔子年吉祥，财源广进，万事如意。
新闻发言人表示，今年中区华埠迎接兔年庆祝，特设麻雀王大赛，以确会友共庆新春。麻雀王大赛的最后4强会获得纪念奖之外，冠军的奖金500元，亚军奖金为250元，季军和殿军的奖金为150元和100元。大赛在其余60位参赛者之中抽出10位幸运儿，每人会得到128元。新闻发布会上，多伦多华埠商业促进区主席雷普信、多伦多市长庄德利等嘉宾分别致辞。
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon to everybody. I want to say how pleased in particular I am to be here with other elected representatives, but in particular with 2 of my colleagues, Councillor Asma Malik and Councillor Diane Sachs, both new members of the City Council, but I'm sure as evidenced by their presence here today, they're already making sure they get to know very well this integral part of our communities and the areas that they represent. And I want to welcome the other elected representatives as well. I think it's a mark of the respect and affection that we have for this community and for this BIA in particular that we're here to mark the beginning of Chinese Lunar New Year, which will come not too long from now. I want to just acknowledge as well the presence of some of the members of our Toronto Police Service here. They do a great job keeping us safe and supporting a lot of people. A lot of the work they do supports and helps people who are in trouble. And I just want to acknowledge the work that they do day in and day out. Tony, the last time we were together in person, and of course it was after a long time when we hadn't been together because of COVID, was for the summer festival that was mentioned a moment ago. And we worked one end of the street to the other. And Tony showed me all the ropes, as it were. I'd been before, but I was most amazed, of course, and continue to be amazed, although I ate it, at the long lineups for the stinky tofu. I mean, I sort of was wondering why people would stand in that lineup with the fumes kind of wafting over them, but it tastes good when you eat it, and so we did have a good time that day, and you learn every time that you come in. Isn't that part of what, the Lunar New Year is all about? Yes, of course, it is something that's traditionally been celebrated by members of our Asian and in particular Chinese Canadian communities, but it also has become, as many of these kinds of celebrations have, a cause for everybody to celebrate, because we learn about each other's traditions, we learn about each other, we work together, we support each other, and it's one of the reasons why the Lunar New Year has not just become something big for the small businesses, big for individual residents of Chinese Canadian background, but big for the entire city, because I think we've come to understand the best way we're going to build the city together is to understand each other's traditions and backgrounds and so on, and I'm very proud that that happens here in this city. I want to acknowledge that the pandemic, which has been mentioned several times today by everybody, it took a terrible toll on a lot of people, a lot of individuals. I don't think we even yet have figured out the impact it took on children, for example, who were kept away from their friends and kept away from school for a long time. But it took a big toll on business too. People just weren't able to go out and shop. People weren't downtown, where this Chinatown BIA is located. And there were just a lot of changes that meant a lot of harm and hurt for people in the small business community. And the Lunar New Year is just going to be one more occasion to try and bring that back. Everybody I ask, including the people here today, John, who represents so many of the small business communities, the BIAs in Toronto, everybody says we're back to kind of somewhere around 70 or 80%. But that sounds good, except that means that people are 20% short in terms of the business they're doing, and if they have to support their families and support their businesses and so on, they need that extra 20% to get the rest of the way there. And so as I did at Christmas and at the New Year on January the 1st, I really encourage people, to the extent they're commemorating and celebrating with friends and so on, to support small businesses, support the members of the Chinatown BIA. Come here to celebrate the Lunar New Year so that we can help get the rest of the way from 80 to 100%. I can assure you that the city government is doing what it can, and these are tough times for the city government as well, difficult times, but we're doing things like applying extra resources to make sure this downtown community and all the downtown communities stay safe, so that people will not be in any way anxious about coming here for Chinese New Year or any other time. We're continuing to move forward with the reduced tax rate for small businesses, which helps in another way to respect the fact that small businesses are different, and they're often run by one or two people, and that the degree to which we can lower the tax burden is something that's very important. And the final thing I'll just say is that I hope that everybody does keep in mind the celebrating together. I would issue a message to all the people of Toronto who are not of Asian or Chinese background to find a way to celebrate Chinese New Year. It's fun. And I've certainly been enjoying over the years, many years, celebrating with those communities in particular, and I think every other Torontonian could learn something and have a lot of fun at the same time. And so I'm looking forward to those celebrations forthcoming here and of course in other parts of the city, including in particular Scarborough. But I just thank the Chinatown BIA day in and day out. They work to keep this a vital, alive, attractive to tourists part of the city. By doing that, they also keep it safe and vibrant, and that's something that we have to focus on as well going forward. I want one more thing I should mention, which is it is not lost on me at all the degree to which the pandemic caused more episodes of anti-Asian racism to surface, and that's very sad and it's very unfortunate. Fortunately, it was limited, but I want you to know that with great help of some of the colleagues, including the late Cynthia Lai. She was one of the leaders in convening a group of men and women who could help us to do things. And a lot of the recommendations that came from those roundtables about how to combat anti-Asian racism, concerned learning more about each other's cultures, learning more about each other, being together, so that people didn't any longer reach any conclusions or stigmatize or otherwise, draw false conclusions about people of Asian background. So I want you to know that's something I'm aware of. It's something I'm working on personally, and I will continue to do so. But again, Gong Hai Fat Choi, Happy Lunar New Year in advance, and I'll look forward to the celebrations to come. And thank you to the Chinatown BIA. Thank you very much.
大家好，我是 Spadina Fortune 上议员 Chris Glover 高理事，谢谢唐人街 BIA， 今日是唐人街的上午，恭喜发财，新年快乐，身体健康，万事如意，祝大家兔年快乐。So I'm Chris Glover, I'm the MPP for Spadina.
发言人道。中区华埠农历开幕典礼新年庆祝活动，加拿大3级政府官员、多伦多各界代表、赞助商户和合作伙伴均会出席。记者了解到，多伦多中区唐人街的华人历史深厚，此次活动是与亲人好友一起迎接兔年最佳的选择。